Hello everybody, it's Tim here again. Had another movie review, this time for Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool 3. I'll just go ahead and say it. I really enjoyed the first two Deadpool films. This one, for me, is another 4 out of 4. This is a great trilogy, and this is pretty much a great capper. Well, it doesn't even really feel like a capper, really. It just feels like another Deadpool movie. But if this was the last Deadpool movie, this would be a great capper. This is a 4 out of 4 film easily. There are some problems here. Of course, like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are great in the film. This is one of Hugh Jackman's best performances as Wolverine in all the X-Men films that he's been in. Some things in this film are slightly unexplained, like the beginning of it or whatever, when Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is like talking to Happy Hogan from the MCU or whatever about how he wants to like join the Avengers and all that because he wants to like make something out of his life. It's like, how did he jump from his universe, the Fox world, to the Disney MCU world? It's not really explained. It might be kind of hinted that he used Cable's device or whatever, but it's not really fully explained. But the movie moves at a fast pace, so it doesn't really bother you or anything. This film has great fun action moments. The fight between like Wolverine and Deadpool in it is hilarious and is really fun. They have two fights. Their fight in the car was even more friggin' funny. Seeing Wolverine, Hugh Jackman in his like comic book suit was really great. There's a great shot at the end in the third act where they like bust through the back of this bus after beating up a shitload of like Deadpool variants. That is a great comic book worthy shot. Basically, Deadpool finds out that the TVA, who, if you've seen the Loki show, you know who they are, who basically oversee the multiverse and everything. When the universe needs to be destroyed, they basically prune it or whatever, prune people in it when they need to be took out, and they destroy the universe. But here, there's like one asshole guy who's working at the TVA who wants to like take out Deadpool's universe because their anchor character or whatever, which was Logan, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, who died in the movie Logan, is dead. So it's basically deteriorating because he's the one that basically held it all together, which I think is kind of an in-joke because, you know, Hugh Jackman's character was, you know, the big character, you know, an actor for the X-Men Fox franchise. So yeah, it's kind of an in-joke there. But the dude who's like playing like the guy who works at the TVA, like he does a good job, but it never really explains why he's an asshole. He just kind of is. But he does a good job in the film. Ryan Reynolds is great as Deadpool, of course. That's no surprise. He pretty much just plays himself. And so he has to go like try to find another Wolverine to like put in his universe to take Logan's place because Logan is dead. And you get like this hilarious shot at the beginning, or sequence, I mean, because Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds thinks that, you know, because they can regenerate and everything, that they can't be killed. So he like digs up Logan's body from where he was buried, and he's like, oh shit, he is dead. And the TVA agents show up there, and he uses like Wolverine's body, like his skeleton, like beat the shit out of him while Instinct's Bye 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 is playing. It's really hilarious the way like Ryan Reynolds is doing it. When you describe it, it sounds kind of dumb. When you see it in the movie, it is perfect. But so he goes to like different universes or whatever to try to find a Wolverine to take his Logan's place. And there's a hilarious scene where, multiple hilarious scenes. There's a hilarious scene where he like walks into a bar or whatever, and Wolverine turns around and it's Hugh Jackman. The effect is bad, but it's still hilarious, like with Ryan Reynolds' lines and everything. And he's like, oh, it's comic accurate Wolverine. Hello, you're so cute, because he's like, you know, extremely short, just like the comic book Wolverine is, and it looks extremely goofy. And this is definitely an argument saying, yeah, this would look really stupid on live action. So that was funny. And then he goes into like another universe where Wolverine's like crucified on an X. So this is actually from, I believe, an X-Men comic called X-Men Apocalypse. So that's like basically paying homage to that. And then there's another one where he goes into this universe, and there's like Wolverine sitting there working on a motorcycle, and he turns around, it's Henry Cavill, because that was like one of the things people talked about online, is how they wanted Henry Cavill to be like Wolverine maybe for the MCU. And he's like, Cavalrine, the rumors are true. He's like, come with me, we'll treat you a lot better than another studio down the street did. Of course, a joke, a jab at Warner Brothers for how they fucked over Henry Cavill. That was pretty funny. And Henry Cavill like kicks the shit out of him or whatever, or knocks the shit out of him. I can't remember exactly which, but that was hilarious. And so of course he gets to this specific universe, and this is supposed to be like the worst version of Wolverine. He's like really grouchy and stuff and grumpy all the time, because you find out later in his universe that he never really joined his X-Men team. He was off kind of like drinking or whatever. He really wanted him to join, and the team got killed by some evil humans. It caused him to like go crazy because he wasn't there to help, which really, it's not really his fault. But at the same time, though, you kind of get it. It kind of works. in context of the movie. So then he like went on a crazy spree and killed all the bad humans, and then he started killing good humans because he completely lost his mind, and so that's why he's considered the worst Wolverine. So it's basically, this movie is also his redemption story, which is really cool. The TVA ends up getting him and pruning him with those little devices that send him to this place called the Void, which is where everybody goes that gets pruned. It happened in the Loki show as well, where it's just like a place where like stuff just gets discarded or whatever from different multiverses. And in the background you can see like a 20th Century Fox logo, which of course is pretty funny in joke. And Wolverine and Deadpool are fighting, and it's an awesome fight. And then you get to this, where one of the most hilarious cameos, guest appearances really, is Chris Evans shows up here, and Deadpool thinks it's like Captain America, goes, it's Chris Evans, but then he says flame on, and it's Johnny Storm, which is pretty funny. And you got Pyro back from here in this movie as a villain who's working with the main villain who is in the Void, and we'll get to that. But he was in the X-Men trilogy or whatever from Fox, and he's here, and he gets in a fight with Johnny Storm. Of course, you know Pyro, though, he can control fire, so when Johnny Storm like does flame on, he just goes basically snaps, you know, and he just unflames, and this pretty much gets his ass kicked. But he falls in a way to like knocks his brains out to where he would clearly be dead, but then in the next sequence he's just like held prisoner with them. And then when they get there or whatever, Deadpool's talking about all the stuff that Johnny Storm said about the main villain named Cassandra Nova, I believe, talking about how he trash talked her the whole time there, and then she just like rips his skin off and kills him. It was basically, and you get like an in joke about it because Wolverine Hugh Jackman is like, Wade, you just fucking killed him, and he's like, do you know how much he was raising our budget? That was pretty funny. And the character Cassandra Nova, who's like the main villain, she's supposed to be like the twin sister of like Professor X. I'm sorry if you hear vehicles in the background again. I always say that because I do these videos outside for the most part now, but she's supposed to be like the twin sister of Professor X. Like her motivation is like she was just sent to the Void, and she's just angry because she's been at the Void. Why is she in the Void? Why'd they put her there? Was she evil before? And she's just crazy, and by the end of it she wants to use this machine to basically just destroy every universe, and whoever's left, they can just like worship her or something as a god. It doesn't really make much sense. And so her character is weak, but she does have this cool imagery effect where she like puts her hands into people's heads and everything, which was taken from like, I believe like one page of a comic that she was in. But it is cool though to see it throughout the movie. And so basically she kicks like Wolverine and Deadpool's ass because she's like immensely powerful. And the only way they're eventually able to overtake her is to put a helmet on her to block her psychic powers, which they use like Juggernaut's helmet. It was kind of a letdown that Juggernaut and like Lady Deathstrike weren't played by the actors from the movies like Vinnie Jones and Kelly Hu, but they're so background it doesn't really matter. This is when the movie got really hilarious. Well, it was already really extremely hilarious with the banter between Deadpool and Wolverine, but this is when I was just having so much fun when this showed up, these extra characters here. Blade Wesley Snipes shows up. That was one I was not expecting. It was really cool to see him there, and Ryan Reynolds even does like an in-joke as Deadpool where he's like, you never really did like me. That was funny. Of course, talking about like Blade Trinity and the whole incident and crazy shit that happened there. And then you got Channing Tatum as Gambit. Now the Gambit movie was, some people in the theater didn't get this. Most of the jokes in the movie people got, but the whole thing with Channing Tatum as Gambit, that was a thing where they kept wanting to make that movie, and he was signed up to play Gambit for Fox, but it ended up kept getting delayed, pushed back, and then Fox of course got bought by Disney, so that just got stomped down to the ground. And so here he's in here, and he makes in jokes about it, like, what if you never was, or whatever, you know. It's obviously an in joke because they're talking about how they want to like go and defeat the bad guys, and everybody deserves, you know, an ending or whatever, talking about the characters and everything. And he says something like, what if you never was, or something, or I feel like I never was. That's the joke because he never got his movie at all. And there's a kind of a funny, like caught me off guard, like Wesley Snipes line later, because he jerks out like a rocket launcher or whatever and blows open like there's like a dead version of Giant Man, Ant-Man, when he turns giant or whatever, and the bad guys are basically in it as like a fortress, and Wesley Snipes like freaking blows the opening open with a rocket launcher, and he says, how many Punishers are there? And because they're talking about how the Punisher was there and he died, and Deadpool says there's like 5 or 6, and Wesley Snipes goes, there's only one Blade. And then you get kind of a joke about it too, because Ryan Reynolds looks at the camera when he says it, and you get, you know, it's kind of an in joke because they are working on another Blade right now. That's kind of part of the joke, but I don't know that shit's ever gonna happen. He might be right. He probably, looks of it, he just may be the only Blade. But yeah, they blow it open. They get in there. You get some cool fight like ninja moves from Wesley Snipes and everything, where he throws like that discus thing around, or whatever, and slices a bunch of people up, and with his sword and everything, he kills Lady Deathstrike, I believe, which she's kind of a background character, but it was still fun seeing Wesley Snipes whoop some ass as Blade. Elektra's there, Jennifer Gardner from the Daredevil and Elektra movie. It was neat to see her again, but I was never a huge fan of her character in those movies. She was always more like a background thing. It would have been cooler to me if it was actually Ben Affleck as Daredevil, but they probably tried but couldn't get him. They do make an in joke about their divorce here, which I thought was funny, because Jennifer Garner's like, well, Daredevil was killed her as well, and Ryan Reynolds is like, oh, I'm sorry, and she's like, don't worry about it. This is the joke because her and Ben Affleck got divorced in real life. That was cute. That was kind of funny. But yeah, they get in there and they whoop some ass and everything. You also got Daphne Keene, who is like Logan's clone daughter or whatever in the movie Logan, and it is that same version, I believe, of her. Because these are different characters or different versions that just happen to be played by the same actors from the Fox movies, and they just in the multiverse or whatever, for the most part. But the Daphne Keene one, I believe, is actually the one from Deadpool and the original Logan's, Wolverine's timeline or universe or whatever, the one that died in Logan. But she's there, and she's a little bit older, but she does a good job here. I do kind of wish they would have done a little more with her, but she is good here, and I liked her. And she shows up there and is whooping ass whenever she kicks the Juggernaut's ass, and she takes his helmet and she manages to get it up there so they can put it on the bad guy's head when she's going through Wolverine's mind and everything and talking about all the stuff he's done. And she basically is trying to get him to join her side. Seems like way, because Wolverines are kind of rare down here because they hardly ever get pruned basically and sent to the void. And this is when you find out Pyro is actually working for the guy, the evil dude at the TVA, and so he shoots Cassandra Nova, the psychic chick who's Charles Xavier's twin sister. She's kind of like the main villain, and basically they want to just take her out because she's causing too much trouble. And Wolverine decides to save her because she was Charles Xavier's sister, basically. So he doesn't want to kill her, because, well, he loved Charles Xavier, basically. And so he takes the helmet off of her, and Deadpool's, of course, I don't know about this shit, because he keeps saying, I'm gonna snap his bitch's neck, and they take the helmet off of her. And so she does let them go, opens up a portal for them so they can get back to their world, using a Doctor Strange, sling ring or whatever, that she got from a version of Doctor Strange that she killed that was here. But they go there, and then this is when you get where the Cassandra Nova character shows up there, and she basically wants to destroy everything and just have people worship whoever's left, I guess, worship her as a god or whatever in the void, or remake the universe. It's not really clear. It's kind of not really motivated at all, because we never really understand what the hell her character's deal is. Just the fact she's crazy, because she's just been in the void so long. It's not really that well explained. She's weak as a villain. It's another weak Marvel villain, but this movie's not about her. It's about Deadpool Wolverine, and that's when the movie excels the most. And they're there, and this is when you get she summons a bunch of Deadpool variants. And again, it's well, why do all these Deadpool variants want to fight Deadpool? It's not really explained, but the action between Wolverine and Deadpool fighting them all is awesome. And the iconic shot where they jump out the back of the bus and towards the camera, and Wolverine's got his full mask on with the wide eyes. It looks awesome. And you also got Dogpool in this movie, who belongs to this other version of Deadpool named Nicepool, and Deadpool uses him as a human shield, which is hilarious. And then he doesn't know though that he can't regenerate like all the other Deadpools can, so he gets killed by it and his head gets blowed up. That's pretty funny. And of course, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool Prime ends up with the dog. Dogpool, which is hilarious because the dog is obviously the joke is that the dog's ugly, but it's adorable the way it's used in the film. And so they fight all the other Deadpools and everything, and they manage to get away from them, because even though they regenerate, then they run out of time. So the character Peter, who was Deadpool's friend, showed up, and every one of the Deadpools all has a Peter in their universe, and they just love Peter. And that's when you get the joke where Deadpool's walking off or whatever Ryan Reynolds is, and he's enjoy my Peter. He says something like that, or have fun with my Peter or whatever. That was pretty funny because they all just love him. It was a hilarious joke. And of course he's also wearing the Deadpool costume, but he's got a gut and everything, and so that was pretty funny. And so they go there to take out Cassandra Nova, and basically they got to destroy this machine, but if any one of them goes in there alone, basically they're going to die, and they keep trying to fight over who should sacrifice themselves. But then they decide, and then Deadpool basically like knocks Wolverine out or hits him in the head to distract him, and he runs in there. First, you think Wolverine is actually going to sacrifice himself because he's the one that says he really has nothing to go back to, and so he's going to basically sacrifice himself. And then Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, basically knocks him in the head, and he runs in there, and you think he's going to do it, but then you realize no, Wolverine is in there. He manages to break down the door, get in there with Ryan Reynolds, and so they manage to survive by destroying this machine. It's basically some time displacement machine. It's a MacGuffin, and Ryan Reynolds even points it out. That belongs to the TVA guy, the evil dude, and basically Cassandra Nova is going to use it to destroy all fabric of reality except for the Void. But because they're like in there absorbing the energy from the machine or whatever together to try to make it explode on itself by basically overpowering it or whatever, it's something like that. It is a bit gobbledygook, but it works in context of the movie. You really feel the emotion or whatever of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds there together as friends. You can really feel the chemistry, and like Hugh Jackman's outfit gets blowed off, and you can see Ryan Reynolds like looking over there because he's like completely ripped at 55 years old, which was pretty hilarious. And of course they both survive, and the evil TVA guy, you see that he's gonna get in trouble by the rest of the TVA, who's good because he pretty much went rogue in the movie just to be a dick, which you never really understand why. But you realize he's going to be, in trouble. And Wolverine basically well, not decides, but he gets to live there in Deadpool's universe. And they're there, and Daphne Keene's character is back, and she's, back with Wolverine. So it's a happy ending for him. And Deadpool is going to get back together with his girlfriend, who they're broken up in the film because he feels like he's holding their back, basically, because he doesn't want to really do anything in life but just be Deadpool. It's kind of unclear a little bit why they broke up. It's not totally believable because they were like 100% together in those other two movies, and he saved her life in that second movie. So it's not totally believable that they would just be broken up. It's not, but you really feel the chemistry between the two actors, and he like puts her hand on hers at the end, and you get the idea they're going to get back together. Obviously, it's a happy ending. And that's when it ends. The bonus scene after the one during the credits is like a montage of all the Fox Marvel films, like outtakes and bloopers from them, which is pretty cute, and mostly stuff from X-Men. And then the one after the credits is a joke where Ryan Reynolds shows up as Deadpool, and he shows footage, and he's like, I'm gonna prove I wasn't the cause of Johnny Storm getting killed. And you find out that when they were being transported to Cassandra Nova's like lair or whatever, Johnny Storm, Chris Evans' character, actually did say all that stuff about Cassandra Nova, about how much she sucks and how much he was gonna like whoop her ass and everything, and he's cussing up a storm. It was hilarious. And he's like, and then Ryan Reynolds looks at the camera, he's like, I got you, fucker. Because he's got the evidence to show, he actually did say all that stuff. That was pretty fun. That was hilarious. People in the theater cracked up at the end when they stayed for that end credits scene. But yeah, overall, this is a 4 out of 4. It has some problems, weak villain. There are some plot, script issues that are noticeable, but it's extremely fun, which is really all a Deadpool movie needs to be. And so for what this is a great fun time. This is awesome. This is, for me, I would have to rewatch the other two. I think I remember liking 2 better than 1, but I think I actually prefer 1 maybe to 2 now. I'm not for sure. But this is my favorite of the 3 Deadpool films. This is an awesome flick. It's extremely enjoyable if you're a Deadpool fan. There's some minor problems, but nothing that takes the movie down that bad or anything at all, really. But it is noticeable. But this isn't just an extremely fun film. It's easily one of the best films the MCU has had in a while. No Way Home was really good. I think No Way Home was better than this, but this is easily the second best of the newer phases. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.